Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Humatta channel. I'm Havobi Tarapur. Today's discussion is on Shehrevar and how to develop the virtues of Shehrevar. Now, this is a continuation from our topic on individual spiritual alchemy, which is very simply to go from our basic human character with both negative and positive into a more saintly one, and from a saintly one into a divine one with lots of steps in between. Um, and last time we looked at the divine virtues of Spenta Armidi or Asvandamard Ameshaspand. And we found that it's very one of the most difficult things that we have to do. It's the initial step. Why we say initial is because with although we have to develop the virtues of the Ameshaspans in a sort of slow spiraling way, we cannot develop all the virtues of one and then move to the other. It doesn't work like that. A little bit of the virtues of each Amesaspan as we develop our character. But we kind of have to start at Spenta Almighty because fundamentally what that does is bring us to a state of practicing humility, practicing rejection of ego, and we learned that those are two very difficult things because humility and rejection of ego is not just about not being prideful. We learned that last time, we learned that humility means um, humility to God's will, acceptance of His will, humility to accept whatever our circumstance in life is, and the faith that God is there and put us there for a reason. So that's one level of humility. Um, the, the rejection of ego goes far beyond the idea of just not being egotistic. The rejection of ego is a slow development or the slow awareness that there is no I, that ultimately you are a soul and the soul is working on this body, this mind, this emotions that we have until it perfects it. And so we can all move towards our ultimate and final goal, regardless of religion, which is Frashogard or Mukti or soul liberation, whatever you wish to call it. So those are two aspects of Spenta Almighty that we looked at last time. And of course, the other aspect of Spenta Almighty, as we know, that she is an amazing, she has this amazing ability to turn trash and garbage, um, defiling things into something good and beautiful, just as she draws all negativity within her own core until it becomes coal, until it becomes diamonds. And our values, virtues to learn from that is actually how to convert our own hatred into love, not only our own, but the hatred of other people. The negative emotions, thoughts, and deeds of others, as well as ourselves, into something more beautiful, into love. And we found that even that is extremely difficult because everything seems very easy when life is good, but it is not easy. It's extremely difficult when life has served you a very difficult situation, perhaps a hurtful situation, perhaps your family, yourselves, your children, somebody is hurt by somebody, and learning to overcome your own anger, your own emotions, your own hurt, and seeing the bigger picture, understanding that um, God is in everyone and everything around us, and that our goal here is to move the entire humanity to perfection, to its own liberation, and the ability to put our own emotions um, and thoughts of our own hurt and self aside and work towards God's work to help even the person who has hurt you or your family to move on that path. So these are extremely difficult virtues, and we don't have to gain them all together or in one life. But I think the idea is that we have to start keeping these thoughts in our mind and slowly develop our character. We will fail many times, but even when we fail, we can go back and think about it and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. Once you have kind of settled your emotions a bit, settled your anger or hurt a bit, and you can rationalize through it, come back to a point of understanding uh, God's will, why He's put you in this position, and what you can do to make the best of that situation. So, without getting too far deep back into Spent Almighty, we're now going to look at the virtues, the divine virtues of Shehrevar Ameshaspand. And those human virtues are the tenacity to resist evil thoughts, words, and deeds, and the mental alertness to do so. So why is this important in our progress towards ultimate salvation? So I want to just bring your attention again to that chart that we showed about our 9 components of a human being, and we see that we have 3 physical, 3 subtle, and 3 divine. Now, here we can see that nature and Dada Mazda, God, has taken a great deal of effort to protect the soul, to protect it from contamination. The soul has gone through many evolutions. We have gone through many evolutions of fire, water, air, earth. And Dada Mazda has perfected now our soul and removed the negativity. That negativity is now moved into the subtle and physical aspects of our existence. So when we want to move towards Dada Mazda, towards our ultimate salvation, ultimately what you want is your soul to be free. Free from what? Free from all the negative. Let me first draw a little example or parallel between us and a ship, for example. So, if we are a vessel, our minds, our bodies, everything is a vessel. But what we have done in this life is that we have taken the true captain, the true leader of our ship, of our vessel, and we have shoved that captain down into the bottom of the ship, into the hold, and put everything on all the coal on top of us. So we are now ruling the ship with our own mind, with our own 5 senses, and our own understanding of life around us. But the ultimate goal is to let the captain back up to the helm and let him run this vessel. So in order to do that, in order for us to release the power, the energy of our soul within us, of Dador Mazda's very seed that is within us, to allow it to move freely in this vessel, we have to remove the contamination from this vessel. And what is the contamination? It's basically stemming from the thoughts of self, stemming from the thoughts of self, which stem from our 5 senses. And hence, without perfecting that, without cleansing that, without creating an environment, a safe environment for the soul's consciousness to come out and for the soul to move freely within our vessel, to do what our soul wants with this vessel, to surrender to our soul, then we have to control first our own thoughts and perfect this. We have to remove all the antagonistic agents which keep the soul suppressed. So, in that sense, we are trying to build a vessel without faults. That's one example to look at. So now, if I look at our physical vessel, okay, we're much like a sieve. This sieve has a handle. But if it was a ship, and if this was our vessel, we can consider the metal part as part of our um, positive traits, good thoughts, good words, and our good deeds, our strengths in our character. All these things are the strong metal part that holds this together. But we also have holes in our character. We also have the negative. We have the negative thoughts. We have the negative emotions, the negative desires. And we call that holes in our character. So if this was a vessel, if I take this and I submerge it into impurity, into, say, a sink that is impure, then what's going to happen is no matter how much good knowledge that we keep pouring in from our prayers, from our mantravani, from our good thoughts, what's happening is that if our vessel is not perfected, if it's not sealed, if it has holes in it, the the inside and outside negative are filtering through without um, without being stopped. So they're freely moving in and out. The negative is freely moving in and out of our vessel. And so the soul cannot really come out and pollute itself within all this pollution. And we have to create an environment in our own vessel that is perfect and strong, a vessel that will not endanger perfection and purity and the innocence of our own soul with not only our thoughts, words, deeds, emotions, and desires, but also that of everything around us. So, for example, you know that your aura stretches about so far about if you put your hands on your waist, as far as your elbows reach out, is about the extent of a normal human being's aura. And that means that when we are interacting with other people and getting close to other people, even other things like garbage, like dead matter, all these energies are constantly entering our aura. And so it's with the practice uh, of religion and many things that we have to remove this negative energies from our personal vessel to perfect it for our soul to freely move and take charge of this vessel. So, um, in this example, then, it is not, you can see that it's not enough just to know more. People think that really just knowing and reading and studying is enough to progress towards your ultimate salvation, but it really isn't because knowing more only grows this vessel. Um, but it hasn't changed the nature of this vessel. So you can go from this, you can gain lots of knowledge, read lots of stuff on religion, and go to this, but it's just a bigger version of this. It still has holes in it, in fact, bigger holes, and it still can be contaminated when submerged into something that is imperfect, impure. And what happens to that perfect divine knowledge that we keep pouring in is that number one, it's getting it's getting diluted into all of this contaminated uh, environment. But not only is it coming out into the contaminated, the contamination is coming within, and it's polluting the knowledge that we have. Hence, you'll see that we have so many controversies. We have so many people who think that they know better than the prophet, who think that they can make changes to the religion. This is all because we have not yet controlled that um, and controlled and perfected our aura. Our egos are still there, our pride is still there, the thought that I know more is still there. All these things are still there. The thought that I want comfort, the thought that I can make changes. Um, no, but if we really go to see who are we to make any changes, we don't even know our own soul. We don't know much about spirituality. We don't really know God. How can we make changes to a prophet who knows God, who can see our souls, who can see the past and the future? So, you know, it's this kind of environment. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just trying to be realistic. So we have to understand that the flaws in our character are like holes, are like making our vessel into a sieve, which not only allows contaminant to come in, but also the pure goodness that we receive from our prayers, from our divine aspects. It all gets diluted, polluted, contaminated, and to a great extent, that in itself is quite a sin to pollute something that is perfect and pure. So we have to create this vessel that is like steel, that nothing can penetrate. So no matter how little knowledge you have, it will still remain perfect and pure. So, for example, um, we start with making this out of this. We change this into this. It's not about how much we know, it's about how perfected we have become in our character, that when we do receive proper knowledge from divine aspects or from books, or the understanding of it is much higher, and we do not dilute it and contaminate it with our mere mortal thoughts. So we have to create this. And after we create this, we can start growing and we can become a huge vessel. We can become this. We can become a huge vessel, but that's the time to become a huge vessel. That's the time to get more and more information, because you know and you're confident that you're not polluting it. Now, we don't actually need to go there and get that much knowledge, because it's all actually even within us. But it's not released because nature is protecting it until we convert our vessel and we remove the danger or the contaminants or the antagonism that is within us towards the innocence and perfection of our own souls and the knowledge therein. So, this is how we have to move. And the process to moving on that is religion itself, isn't it? So, for example, we have to pray in 5 days. We have to do our kasti and sadhana. Sadhana and kasti are incredible mechanisms. We'll have to have a discussion on it one day. Today, I'll just make it short and say that sadhana and kasti act very much like the ozone layer of the earth, where it filters the negative emotions and thoughts and all the negatives from entering your personal aura. It helps you restrain the negative and slowly allows the emittance of your own negative aspects in a way that you are able to control it, suppress it, convert it into something good. So this is an amazing function that the Sadhukasti does for us. And it's not a way of making everybody do it, but I just can't imagine how you I can't imagine how lucky we are to still have this equipment. And I imagine that perhaps in another 20, 30, 50 years, nobody will be wearing it and nobody will know how to use it or even construct it. And it will be our own loss, because the equipment is spiritual equipment that today we go to all kinds of spiritual leaders, to find the truth and find yogic exercises and find yogic mantra. But here we have something incredible that has been given to us. And all we have to do is use it in order to improve our aura. It's a great asset. It's not that we can't do it without it, but it is a great asset and it's absolutely necessary as a Zoroastrian to do it, because we are in a process of perfecting this aura, perfecting our vessel in order for our soul to move freely and use our vessel for its own purposes. So, um, so I'm going to start the discussion here on Shehrevar Ameshaspand. There's a lot more to discuss. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more to understand about desirable sovereignty, divine kingdom, about our particle souls in the lower kingdoms, which is the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdom. But it's too deep a topic to get into here. Right now, we're just focusing on um, the, the virtues that we have to develop in order to create an environment, in order to perfect our own vessel, to make it a perfect vessel for our soul to move freely in that vessel and let the captain again take the helm of the ship. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and do join us for our next video. The next video will be on Adiveshamasaspin and the virtues of Ardibes Ameshaspand on our path towards ultimate salvation. Thanks so much for watching and hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye.